If you think this cycle will copy 2017 or 2021, you're about to miss the move. The setup we're seeing now, liquidity loosening, user growth compounding, and money rotating down the risk curve, points to a genuine alt season, not a meme-driven blip. In this video, I'm laying out the 7 altcoins I've put serious money into, why they stand out across today's most powerful narratives: tokenization, base layer throughput, real revenue DeFi, and AI infra, and how to think about timing and allocation so you don't chase green candles. Let's address the elephant first. Will we even get an alt season? Market structure says yes. Every cycle, we see dominance peak for Bitcoin and Ethereum as institutions front-run them, then capital rotates into the broader market. This rotation usually arrives after a period of compression and boredom on the charts, exactly where we've been. Two things matter for magnitude: user base and catalysts. The user base has multiplied since the last cycle, and the catalyst stack is bigger: spot products, tokenization rails, base layer scaling, and cross-chain data. That's why I'm not banking on a 2 to 3x. I'm positioning for outsized dispersion, where strong names separate from the pack while low-quality coins stay flat. So, how big could this be? Historically, the others basket, everything outside the top 10, has outperformed once rotation begins. If the broad alt market expands several 100% from here, a reasonable base case is roughly a 5 to 6x index-style move, before you even account for alpha from picking leaders within strong narratives. That's why this list spans multiple themes. If DeFi leads first, we win. If tokenization takes the baton, we still win. If base layers and AI infra rip later, we're already there. Diversified conviction beats single narrative gambling. Now, the picks, ranked from larger to smaller caps so you can think about sizing and risk. First is Chainlink. It's no longer just oracles. With on-chain, off-chain data flowing through its network and new mechanisms that feed by pressure back into the token, Link is positioned as critical neutral infrastructure for tokenized assets, real-world data, and cross-chain settlement. Add growing institutional touchpoints and you get something rare in crypto: a token with recurring, utility-driven demand. I see this as a core position for the tokenization megatrend. Sitting right beside that narrative is Ondo. If Chainlink is the plumbing, Ondo is a front-row beneficiary of real-world assets, RWAs, going on-chain. Tokenized treasuries, tokenized equities access via partners, and integrations that put this in front of a huge user base. The appeal to institutions is simple: yield and access, so when traditional money dips a toe, projects like Ondo capture it first. Smaller cap than Link, higher potential torque, and it rides the same secular wave. Next up, Psi, a small cap sway style, layer 1 that actually posts real usage metrics. What I like here is not the buzzword bingo, it's the data. Active addresses trending up, daily transactions that put it in the conversation with much bigger chains, and a DeFi stack thickening week by week. When a chain's TVL and transactions grow together, you're not just buying a promise, you're buying an economy that's turning over faster. Then there's Injective, INJ. If you want exposure across AI, DeFi, and performant L1 infra without holding a dozen bags, Injective is a smart consolidation bet. It's purpose-built for speed, on-chain derivatives, and programmable finance. Treasury accumulation and interest in yield-bearing structures tell you the right kind of capital is paying attention. In rotation phases, platforms enabling leverage in structured products often catch flows early and hard. DeFi revenues matter again, which brings us to Aerodrome Finance, Aero, on Base. Base is onboarding at a clip, and Aerodrome has become the de facto DEX liquidity hub there. That translates into fees, and fees translate into token holder interest and sticky TVL. When a chain builds a consumer-facing footprint, wallets, simple on-ramps, its primary liquidity venue can compound faster than the chain itself. If you're bullish on Base adoption, Aero is a clean way to express it. For AI infrastructure, I like Ether. Hype is not a thesis, cash flow is. Ether abstracts GPU access, renting and routing compute for AI, gaming, and high-performance workloads. In a market starving for capacity, networks that make compute liquid and accessible have clear product market fit. When recurring revenue stands tall relative to market cap, you get a line of sight path to re-rating even before AI narrative turns hot again. Finally, let's talk about the true underdog of this list, Kea. This isn't just another flashy layer 1 claiming speed, it's a project that's quietly aligning itself with the most powerful narrative of the next decade: tokenization of real-world assets. Kea is boasting throughput numbers in the tens of millions of transactions per second, which, if even partially realized, could reshape what's possible for financial markets and high-frequency applications on-chain. But the real intrigue here isn't just in the tech, it's in the economics and positioning. Right now, Kea is underexposed. It has minimal exchange presence, which means the majority of the market hasn't had easy access to buy it. That might look like a weakness today, but it's actually a massive hidden strength. Why? Because the minute it lands on a Coinbase, Binance, or another Tier 1 exchange, we usually see what's known as the listing effect, a sudden flood of new liquidity and buyers. For a coin with such a low market cap, that can create explosive moves very quickly. On top of that, the project recently slashed 40% of its token supply, removing a huge chunk that would have otherwise been a drag on price action from early investor sell pressure. This sets up an unusually clean supply runway during a bull market, when reduced selling pressure combined with new demand can supercharge upside. Pair that with heavyweight backers like Eric Schmidt, former CEO of Google, and you've got institutional credibility on top of strong tokenomics. And with their mainnet just around the corner, Kea is about to step out from the shadows. This is why I call it the most asymmetric bet on the list. Unlike the big names, you don't need billions in inflows for Kea to move. Tens of millions could be enough to 5x, 10x, or even more if narratives line up. Of course, with that potential comes higher volatility, so position sizing is critical here. Now, let's zoom out to strategy, because the best list in the world means nothing if you sabotage yourself. Here's the golden rule. Red means go, green means think. Don't chase green candles. The best entries are when a project looks unloved, during dips, corrections, or periods of boredom. That's when conviction pays off. Build your positions in tranches, leaving dry powder for unexpected macro events like Fed cuts, CPI surprises, or sudden risk-off moves. Also remember that altcoin rotations move in waves. First, liquidity pours into the largest caps as institutions warm up. Then mid-caps follow. And finally, low liquidity projects, like Kea, tend to catch fire toward the end of the move. If you're spread across narratives and tiers, you don't have to predict the exact timing of each wave. You can ride the rotation as it unfolds and let the market do the heavy lifting. And finally, a word about risk. Don't think of it as something to avoid, think of it as a tool to use. Build your portfolio with a strong core in Bitcoin and Ethereum, then layer in these altcoin satellites as high beta plays. Watch unlock schedules, treasury moves, and exchange listings like a hawk, because those can change the game overnight. And above all, forget the fantasy that everything pumps. Every cycle, the truth is brutal. 90% of altcoins underperform. It's the 5 to 10% of quality projects with real usage, revenue, integrations, or institutional catalysts that write the scoreboard. That's the basket we're playing in here. So, if this breakdown helped sharpen your strategy, don't just sit back, do your own research, set alerts, and get positioned before the crowd piles in. I'll keep tracking these narratives and projects so you always know where momentum is building. Smash the like button, subscribe with the bell on, and let me know in the comments. Which altcoin do you think belongs in the leaders only basket for this bull run?